Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
Scouting reports and in-game adjustments. I love getting to learn from and listen to coaches and how they view those, because you have, really a wide variety of ideas of guys that, like process. Jason Garrett, we're just going to stick with it. We're not going to deviate or change. And then you got guys that in a drop of hat, they'll tinker, they'll adjust to anything they have to. I guess starting with in-game adjustments, how do you view those?
We're always going to have our base things that we take a lot of pride in. That's being a really good defensive team, taking high percentage shots, and being a good rebounding team. And then as far as in-game adjustments, I like to go through before the game a lot of scenarios, with my coaches. Hey, if this happens, what are we looking at? We scout very extensively. Every opponent we play throughout the year, whether it's a 8 a.m. tournament game, it doesn't matter. We are going to have a scouting report. We pay, $2.99 for the fast draw subscription. Nice. So it's a real easy template, and then we'll break those up. I have really good assistant coaches. If we're going to a tournament, we'll say, hey, this coach, you take this pull play game, and we have a scouting report for every opponent, and it's pretty detailed. It's, their top players, what their strengths are. When it gets to district games, we'll put some clips in there as well. But we're going to go over those scouting reports. It doesn't matter. It can be, you might not know your opponent, but, there's times our assistant, my assistant would be up in the stands on her laptop, putting in that scouting report. And so our kids get used to knowing, what the opponent's going to do. And I'll tell you this, a lot of times with scouting reports, spend some time on that. I think a lot of people do scouting reports, but they don't really spend any time in practice. That's I'm talking to other coaches. We discuss it. We like in a district game. What we want to do is we're going to have a scouting report. Let's say here's what offense they're going to run. We are going to walk through it with our JV. Then we're going to go against it live, and then we're also going to watch it on a clip. And that way, they have a lot of reminders of what this play. Because I feel like an advantage that coaches can get, if you see your opponent line up in a play, and your players out there on the court can call out that play, know exactly what they're doing, you've just got an advantage. And I've seen it over and over, that you could gain those advantages by having a very good scouting report. Now, when it gets to in-game adjustments, sometimes you have a scouting report and a kid gets hot. You have foul trouble. And so I've always just, every coach has a specific role. One's matchups. One might be, inbounds play. And so what we just try to do is I use my timeout strategically, and then cross. And so I can assure you that has helped us win some games in previous years.
Man, I think a big nugget there is planning for those adjustments. Like, failure to plan is planning to fail, right? So I think when people see coaches make adjustments in games, they don't realize sometimes that rarely are those by accident or, let's just try it. Like, we have no clue if this is going to work or not. I just don't think that's what's happening a lot. But with those in-game adjustments, they have to be planned for and thought out, or else you're just hoping to get lucky, right?
Absolutely. And this is I'll give you a good example. This year, we played Amarillo-Tascosa in the regional semifinals. And towards the end of district, and we got the playoffs, we put in, hey, home run plays, or, you got to go full court, baseball pass, what we were going to do. We had, inbounds plays just to get the ball in, inbounds plays to score. We had put all those in, and we had ripped those probably 20 times, 30 times, about every other day in practice, spent some time. Had not had to use them any playoffs games. We get to Amarillo-Tascosa, and tight game, goes double overtime. Every one of those situations that we had practiced, we executed on. So that was really cool after the game to go in there and say, guys, y'all won this game because when we ripped those in practice, y'all paid attention, and then y'all execute them out here. It was amazing just going back and talking about and watching that game. Every situation that we had. I mean, we were in the first overtime. We're down a point, have to go the full length of court with like 5 seconds. And our kids ran that play perfectly. We actually missed a shot, get the offensive rebound, get fouled, go to the next overtime. It was just really cool to look back and tell the kids, hey, here's why we do that. So that preparation, even though you gotta make time in practice to do it, it is so cool when it pans out and your kids can see that.
And just because you may not do it often doesn't make it not important that we should be repping in practice. Because I think that one of the two things that a lot of coaches say they would want to do more, one, is scrimmage more. Like a big one is scrimmage more. And then the other one is end of game situations, like spend more time on that. And they're usually saying that because in a big moment, we realize, crap, like we haven't worked on this enough. And that's a horrible feeling to have.
It sure is. And I like to have, I have a play sheet of, I run a lot of sets. And so I have a sheet if and on that column will be, hey, if I end the game, I need a 3, end the game at 2. And then I've got sets for odd number zone, odd front, even front, everything, switching defenses, teams that are going under, stuff like that. And so I think our kids, that helps me stay organized, but it's also helped me just to kind of, as a coach, be real. I'm comfortable because we've got a plan for everybody. And so I definitely think that just being organized and coaches can also set up situations in practice. We'll do that a lot with, just 1 or 2 minute games where, hey, JV might be up 6 points. We got to come back. What are we going to do? Just put the kids in those situations.
And that's good. I had a question about when the times where you're going over those either quick hitters or end of game plays. Do you do that 5-on-0? Because I've heard a lot of, I've maybe read or what, coaches that don't like 5-on-0 times don't think that that's very helpful. What are your thoughts on that?
We learn it and rep it 5-on-0, but then we execute it 5-on-5 because I want to get the kids used to probably 50% of the time you're not going to make the shot, but you're going to have an opportunity for that offensive rebound.
Yeah.
And so I want the kids to realize, hey, if this goes wrong, because our JV is going to know what we're running.
Yeah.
And so they're going to try to switch or cheat a play. You've got to make a counter, man. So that's something we definitely do a lot of those 5-on-5.
Not those coaches out there that are debating like how much 5-on-0 do we do versus 5-on-5. Like I think like you said, a good balance is good. I wouldn't throw 5-on-0 out completely though, because I've been guilty of, and I maybe have seen other coaches too at times where, all right, we put something in one time, now let's play. And we're frustrated that it's not working. I just think there is something about those 5-on-0 reps when done correctly at a realistic speed that allows those guys to feel more comfortable in it, to look smooth, where I felt like our execution in game situations has gone dramatically up the more 5-on-0 we do. Because to your point, if you're always going against JV or each other, and they are cheating it, they are always making you have to adjust. Well, what about the times where the defense does exactly what you want them to do? Like, you got to be able to execute it correctly. That 5-on-0, and I mean, man, if you could even incorporate a little skill work in there, that's been like the years where we're more smooth offensively. I look back at practice plans and I see an increased time at 5-on-0. I don't know.
I would agree with you. In my typical, let's say I'm going to spend 25 minutes working on half-court offense. We're going to take 12 to 15 and do 5-on-0. And what I also do there, I'll have like 3 different varsity groups because I want kids to know different positions.
Yeah.
And so we're going to spend probably 12 to 15 minutes 5-on-0. And then the last 10 minutes, I'm going to bring the JV and we're going to work on that. And one day might be zone. And so I think a balance is incredible. And plus, as the season gets further into it, you've got to make sure kids don't get injured.
That's right.
And you've got to have kids that are fresh. And so just repping those in practice 5-on-0, I think there's definitely a lot of benefit in that.
And you almost start to get like in the weight room, you have a routine in season. you almost start to get this routine later on in the season of, you're right, less bone on bone and more, hey, we're flying through these different scenarios. Like, what do we do when the ball's at half court and there's 3 seconds left? We get in white. Like, you can run through those fast. You get conditioning out of it. And it's like later on the season, would you want to have more plays or more players healthy? Like, we want more players healthy at that point.
Yeah, I've always said if I get to the playoffs with more majority of mine healthy, that's all that matters. It really is. If you need to have a full deck of cards when you go into the playoffs, and so completely agree with you on that.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.